Hi, my name is Landry, and I am a really big fan of 21 Pilots.
My name's Alyssa Hank, and I've been a Billie Eilish fan since like 2017 when her first EP came out.
Hi, I'm Shelly Harper. I'm a Taylor Swift fan, and I've been a fan of her since I was a little kid.
Okay, my name is Shelby Smith, and I'm a fan of One Direction. I started being a fan of One Direction in around like 2012, and my love for them has stayed consistent since I became a fan, and I still am a fan of all of them individually since the band has broken up, and I still listen to all of them and follow all of them and like know what they're all doing all the time. But at times, like, I do go back and I watch like those old videos from whenever they were in a band together.
It started out just like by finding her music, but then I also watched like a lot of interviews on YouTube, and I just liked kind of her vibe and everything she stood for, and she was just very real all the time.
I just started listening to their album Blurry Face because my friend introduced me to it, and from there I just got into everything else. And once I finally saw them in concert, that like sparked a big change in like me being a really big fan and wanting to do more with it. So my older sister, she's 12 years older than me. She has always been a huge fan of Taylor Swift, and when I was literally like 6, she started like feeding me her lyrics and teaching me her songs, so I pretty much grew up on Taylor Swift.
I think the craziest thing that I've done for One Direction is they had a day where they live streamed for 8 hours, and I didn't even have a phone at the time, I was so young, but I went onto YouTube and I watched all 8 hours live of One D-Day during that time.
First, in 2017, they did a like tour of their hometown venues and started with like really small ones and worked their way up to arenas. And so my friend and I convinced our parents to drive us to Columbus, Ohio from Dallas. And we camped out and we were in the pit. I've seen them in Dallas, Houston, DC, Nashville. I feel like there's probably Boston. Oh, I camped out for like 5 days in Boston because it was a really small venue as well.
The two biggest ones were that I went to Coachella mainly because I wanted to see her, also just because I wanted to go. But then I also, in December, flew to LA for 2 days to go to one of her last shows.
When she released her last album, she released a set of 3 a.m. tracks, and I stayed up all the way till 3 a.m. just to listen to the new tracks, and there were, I think, 7 of them, so we ended up staying up until like 4:30 listening to them. The community I've found in Taylor Swift fans is Taylor does a lot of stuff for her fans to make it fun to be a fan of her. So basically, like, in all her music videos and her posts and everything, she'll put little Easter eggs that are basically clues on what she's gonna do next. And being a fan of her is really fun because everybody goes on TikTok and everything and they're like, oh, I think this is what this clue meant or whatever, and it really just connects all the fans to have like this common thing of figuring out what she's gonna do next. My first go-to example, whenever I went to see them in Columbus with my best friend that like I was already really good friends with, we were camping out and we met a girl in line, and she ended up like, we ended up talking to her a lot, and she ended up becoming like one of our best friends, and we just kept up through social media at that point on Twitter, and we reconnected whenever she was like, I'm gonna go see them in Texas on their next tour. We saw her for the first time 2 years later, and now we're like all gonna live together in Nashville over the summer, and we see each other all the time, and she's like we're like the 3 musketeers now. I feel like every time I've gone to a concert and I've gone in line with people early, everyone's just so nice and like so connected through like our love for the live show and their music.
I follow a few like Billie Eilish fan and like tour accounts, and I feel like when you look through the comments and stuff, you can feel a community there, and like on Twitter and stuff, a lot of people just saying like how much they also love Billie, especially whenever For Coachella, I stayed at the barricade the whole day so that I could be there, even though she didn't go on until 11 p.m. And just like everyone who was also there was there for Billie, and just like talking to them about like why they love Billie and kind of like the community they've felt through that.
I think I've made a lot of friends by being a One Direction fan or a Harry Styles fan or a Niall fan. I know that my little sister and I have become very close because that's something that we have in common. And one of my really good long distance friends that I have that goes to UT, her and I text about all of the different members all the time, and we send each other videos and say, hey, did you see like this person did this? Hey, did you see this person's announcing like this music, and all that kind of stuff. So I think it kind of brings everybody a little bit closer together. And then you can also like go see movies and go see concerts and like see things with all these different people. And then just online, like having a community with the people that do follow them and are big fans of them, and like having like all kinds of like inside jokes about the different members is really cool.
I have seen firsthand like so many groups and communities come together through like Twitter group chats and being able to meet up at shows, and they like create just really close-knit friendships, and they'll travel together, and it's a really unique thing that they got going on.
I think because of One Direction, I started liking a lot of different artists. So one of the bands that opened up for One Direction for their tour was called 5 Seconds of Summer, and I still love 5 Seconds of Summer to this day. Like when I saw One Direction, I knew all the words to all the 5 Seconds of Summer songs, and I actually went and saw 5 Seconds of Summer this past summer. And another artist that I really love because of One Direction is Casey Musgraves, because Casey Musgraves opened for Harry Styles' first tour.
Some things from interviews, whenever she'll say like a certain artist that she's listening to, I definitely like go and listen to that. But then also the people that played before her at Coachella, since I was at the barricade all day, like there was one artist, Giveon, who I knew like one song of his from TikTok, but I thought he was really good, and like I started listening to his music after because I got exposed to it because I was waiting for her.
So through 21 Pilots, they had Judah and the Lion open up for them, and I'm a really big fan of them now, and they're going on tour this year, so I'm going to see them a few times. And that trickled down into other bands that Judah has introduced me to. I think I started listening to a lot of Paramore and Panic at the Disco back in like 2017 because they were good friends with them. Oh, they did a song on Suicide Squad, so I had to go watch it, watch the movie.
I started listening to another artist, Olivia Rodrigo, because of Taylor Swift, because Taylor was Olivia's like mentor and she was her biggest inspiration in songwriting and everything. So once I knew that Olivia was so inspired by Taylor's music, I started listening to her because I knew if she was inspired by Taylor, I would probably like her music because I love Taylor so much. So the Haim Sisters is like a band that Taylor is really close with all the members of, and she has been working with them and writing songs with them and having them in her music videos for a while now. So I think that's an example of somebody that I know because that I wouldn't know outside of Taylor.